What do you do when you're launching a new product or service? Something your audience has never seen before. Maybe it's new to the world, like the first microwave oven, or maybe it's just unfamiliar to them and they've never seen it before. You already know that a confused mind always says no. You've heard it a million times. And in many cases, your prospects won't immediately see the value of they've never considered. In today's episode, we're going to look at 3 reasons why your audience might be confused by a new service. How to find the right kind of story to communicate your value, and at the end, you'll get 5 essential qualities for a checklist your story needs to turn confusion into clarity and clarity into conversion. I'm Kathy Goodwin, and this is the Strategic Storytelling Podcast, designed especially for service-based solopreneurs who want to use storytelling as a powerful marketing tool, not for telling campfire stories or bedtime stories. We are all about business. So let's start with the key main challenge. When someone doesn't recognize the value of what you do, your first job is to give them clarity. And that means being able to explain exactly what your service does, and even more important, how they will benefit. Because as you probably heard a million times, a confused mind says no. And confusion typically shows up in 3 situations. 1, your service is new to the world. 2, your clients are in a new and unfamiliar situation. 3, and most common, your solution is new to clients who already have a solution, but they're looking for something that's better and stronger compared to what they already have. So let's look at each of these in turn. Number 1, your service is new to the world. Think about the first time someone tried to explain a microwave or a fax machine. That may sound like a big company issue, but it applies just as much to service-based That may sound like a big company issue, but it applies just as much, maybe even more, to service-based solopreneurs. I got the idea for this episode, in fact, from a startup I met at my co-working space. They were offering a calendar coordinating service, something designed to help families organize tasks like picking up kids, managing appointments, even making grocery runs. And to me, especially at first, it seemed unnecessary. I couldn't imagine paying for it instead of just setting up a Google Calendar. But as they explained, it was specifically designed for large families with busy lives and overlapping schedules. It was not designed for single people like me who have just one cat. The potential for profit was there, but it was confusing because they didn't have a story, so the value did not come through. What they needed was a story about a busy family that was rescued by their service. Number 2, your clients are new to the situation. That is the second reason for confusion. And this happens when your clients don't know what they need because they've never been in this situation, this position before. Or maybe they have, but it was a long time ago. So here's a classic example: home staging. Someone is selling their house for the first time in years, and the world has changed. The real estate market has changed. And now the real estate agent says, hire a stager. And they ask, why? What they don't know is that in many markets, home staging, has become a standard part of the process. Experienced stagers have great stories, homes sitting unsold for 6 months and then selling really fast after staging. And these stories explain what they do clearly and persuasively. Or another example comes from a gift wrapping service. And I was fascinated when I talked to the owner, who is a solopreneur. And I believe she was a long ago client of mine. Companies want to create memorable events for clients, for employees, building goodwill. And they often distribute these gifts at a dinner or another event. And the gifts were piled on a table, like you get swag, boxes of swag, and people would grab some and, just not take them seriously. And you get this all the time. But what she explained to me was that when you professionally wrap each gift, the company created a party atmosphere. But she explained to me that when you professionally wrap each gift, the company creates a party atmosphere. It turns a simple giveaway into a memorable experience. I mean, people stand around taking pictures of the pile of wrapped gifts. They take a picture of their own gift when it's still wrapped, and they share those pictures. But again, without a clear story, the value of the gift wrapping service was lost on their potential clients. Number three, third reason for confusion, your clients already have a solution, but they're not satisfied. And this is very common. People think they've solved the problem, but they don't realize how much better it could be. Or they've adapted to a workaround, they kludge something together, and they don't want to change. It's not worth the effort. So let's say you're a business owner and you've resigned yourself to working with unreliable techies and web designers, the kind that take your money and disappear. I mean, some are very good, but there are some that are not as good. And of course, they cost a lot of money. And then the business owner hears about Christina Hills, a real person that I talk about all the time. She's invented a new way to DIY your WordPress website. And at first, people resist because it does cost money, a good chunk of money. But then they compare the cost of hiring a designer, even a low cost designer, over and over again as they keep building new websites over time. And she has some wonderful stories about people who got stuck with $5,000 in design fees, or whose designer left for Tahiti or Bali with all their passwords and disappeared forever. She has great stories, and people do make quite a bit of money from their beautiful websites. She has a unique way of teaching this. So it's a real kind of a new to the world solution. Or then there were some guys I knew who had an app that matched places to hold events with people who needed space. I'm not sure that app is still around, but it was perfect for people who may do with a friend's house, or they'd call around to see what was available and things got a little dicey. And now they just go on the app, or they used to be able to go on the app and find a vacant church kitchen or an unused conference room. And it was really fast and something that was new to them, but solved a problem that you can explain with a story. And so, in fact, in every case, new to the world, new to the client, or better than the current solution, the answer is the same. You need a clear, relatable story. So briefly, going back to the examples, I'll run through a few of them. The home stager tells a story about a house that wouldn't sell until it was staged using furniture that the owner already had. Or the gift wrapping company can share how a wrapped gift turned an ordinary meeting into a celebration that branded the company and created new memories. Or the calendar service could describe a family that went from chaos to calm. They got more quality time because their schedule finally worked. They could do more in less time, and there's probably a way that money works into this too. And of course, the website training service really is a real service that Christina Hills has, and she works with lots of people whose websites go from a horror show to a beautiful DIY site that actually makes money. Lots of stories. So, in summary, Here is your 5-point checklist for creating a story that turns confusion into clarity, no matter what the reason is for the confusion. Number one, start with the problem. Make it very clear. It's sort of like an example story of what your service solves and why that problem matters. And more important, show what happens if they stay with what they have now or without a solution. Number two, use relatable characters. And what that means is use characters, cast your story in a way that your client can relate. So a really good example is the story of the calendar when they need a story about a family with kids. They need to say to someone like me, you don't need our service. And one of the easiest ways is with a story. The audience should recognize themselves and they should recognize the problem in a story, and they should believe that they can achieve the outcomes you describe. Number three, that relates to number two, keep the transformation realistic. Your story should show progress, should show effort, should show forward movement, not magic. You don't wave a wand in these stories. You're not promising overnight success, but rather a clear improvement that feels achievable, often step by step. Number four, make the unfamiliar feel familiar. And this is very important because a lot of these solutions are new to the world or new to the people, and they're not comfortable. People are almost always afraid of something new. I remember people being afraid of the first ATMs or the first microwaves. So what you want to do is use metaphors, analogies, comparisons to explain new ideas in terms your audience already understands. And finally, number five, deliver an aha moment. Your story should trigger insight, not just interest. It should make people say, aha, I get it, I want it for myself. You should have them running, not walking, to your solution. They should be so excited. But an aha moment is created by the story you tell. So if you want to go deeper, I've created a workbook on how to cast the characters in your story. And I have 4 characters: the hero, the guide, the villain, and the cheerleader. Each character plays a key role in building a story that is both persuasive and realistic. And I'm putting the link in the show notes. It's very low cost and very clear on the importance of casting your characters. And if you want one-on-one help developing a clear, compelling story to communicate the value of your unique offer, you can find me at kathygoodwin.com. I'll also include a link to my consulting services. I work directly with business owners who are ready to take the guesswork out of storytelling and start seeing results. They want to use storytelling as part of their copywriting to create clarity and motivate clients to buy. So thanks so much for joining me on today's podcast. If you like this podcast, please do 3 things so I can keep it going. First, go to Apple, Spotify, or another platform and leave me a rating and a review. Second, go to my website, kathygoodwin.com, Kathy with a C, Goodwin has 2 O's, and drop me a note from the contact section, or reply to one of my emails if you're a subscriber, and I will answer you personally. Finally, if at all possible, please tell at least one friend or colleague about the podcast. I'm available to write a blurb or do a guest gig on your podcast or write you a guest blog post. Or I can also just send you a note if you have a question. But please, let's spread the word. And if you visit my website, kathygoodwin.com, you'll see that I have lots of offers, both free and paid, and you'll see a contact page for comments, and I hope you'll use it. So thanks again for joining me today. I hope you found the podcast helpful and, in some cases, creating an aha moment for you. And I hope it helps your business and you have a wonderful rest of the day.